Oh, Lex got on Shamath Palihapitiya, or however you say his last name.
Don't know who that is.
You'd know it by his face, this guy.
Not sure.
He was one of the earliest Bitcoin buyers.
Yeah, no, never heard of him.
Damn.
Never heard of him.
Damn.
All right, we are semi on time. We've been more on time before. This is a fact.
We're on YouTube now?
Yes, we should be. I'll just check. Oh, dang, missed it. Here we go. Check that our voices are coming through. Hello, Karen speaking into the mic. Check 1, check 2. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, that stuff there is all good. Could you just tell our little group one that we're live?
Mm-hmm.
In particular, Prentice, because he make sure you tag him.
I know Manshaw's busy right now. Out on a yacht in the middle of Moreton Bay Islands.
On a yacht?
Yep.
What's he doing on a yacht in the middle of Moreton Bay? That sounds...
He also took off at the middle of the day.
Dodgy. Sounds dodgy AF. Okay. That sounds good. Add this in. Come over here. Take that. Put that in. Cool. All right. You're the one running it, so
Let's do it.
I'm gonna click the button. Here we go. Ooh,
Welcome
that
back,
sounded
the
weird.
Immortal Lights, to a Musings edition session where we come together, have a deeper conversation than our normal lighthearted ones that we do outside. This one's indoors. You got wine on one side.
Karen on the other side of the mic.
And today I have picked the topic, and I actually thought of something it might not be a super long one today, but we'll see how it actually plays out. But it was more around the sequencing of a day. And this was predominantly in my mind, given there's been a few changes, especially this month in the way that I'm doing training. I've been, let's say, switching between my morning routine to a midday gym routine to all over the place. And I've enjoyed some of these differences that has also come up. So I just thought of musing on sequencing a day, and at the very least in terms of rotating it around what you've seen be sort of most successful to you, at least to you personally.
Yep.
Either you play it around with other sequences and you've gone, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not going to approach my day this way.
Yep.
So I thought takeaways here for the
Yeah.
Immortal Lights at home might be,
We definitely have to do that because I created the thumbnail saying "Stop doing this" with an exclamation mark. So
stop doing this.
So we're
Cool,
gonna have
good.
to at least talk about things that you shouldn't do.
Awesome. And I've split mine into these sort of sections to talk about from the day or sequencing a day. I sort of said morning, midday, I'll say afternoon and evenings. Now, for those of you playing at home, morning and evening here between me and Karen are wildly different. So me and
correct.
Mortalize obviously take to your sections as you wish, but if you split up your day, I guess, into quarters, I'll just say first, second, third, and fourth part, I guess, of the day, whatever that falls. Because again, you could have some people who are night shift workers, whatever it may be. Yep. So I thought I'd take it in from there, and probably I'd get your thoughts on some of these ones. But then you can add any of the items you might have listed in there as well. So I'm going to start. First one, first quarter. So for me, morning. And I'm going to start for you folks what I've landed on it, at least for a sequence of what's really worked well for me and what hasn't. So I'll start with the well for me. Waking up early. I do find at least waking either with the sun or before the sun.
Okay.
So with the sun or before the sun. Right now, summertime here in Australia, in Brisbane, the sun comes out at 4:48. So for me, getting up slightly beforehand works perfectly. Like works really, really well. Getting up after the sun kind of sucks. I've kind of like found that out over like just many years.
Yep.
Getting up afterwards doesn't really work for my mornings. So at least for me, sun in around that time. Cool. So that's kind of like one start of the sequence. I found myself, I've talked about this at length sometimes in the podcast on the news I consume, the news I don't consume, whether I should be doing too much or too little. And I've kind of find a bit of a sweet spot. And again, so what I'll tend to do and what I try to do, so if I was going to say like my most successful morning would be getting in a workout in the morning. I'm going to say roughly an hour after I've woken up. So if I wake up at 4 in the morning, I'm working out at 5 in the morning.
You're actually lifting weights?
I'm actually lifting weights. Like I'm warming up basically at 5 a.m.
Gotcha.
And what I like to do, I've found, is before I actually get myself to the gym, by that time I've had a coffee or a caffeine type drink. So that's one thing. I've read, I've done my language learning, and in some, but not all instances, depending on what type of news I'm consuming. So right now, there's some SBF, Twitter world stuff that I'm just consuming, which I won't say is like great news, but just news in general.
Drama.
In a contained time frame before lifting. So I found that to be. You remember a little while ago I was saying, "Hey, I feel like I need a motivation. Like I need a motivation to kind of get to the gym." And I was like finding myself on Instagram, just flicking through, just like watching videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
This slight change has definitely helped it, because now I've woken up with, I like to do this, and you'll see this in my sequencing of the day. I like there to be time domains, like time boundaries. Like I just got to get things done in a time constricted way. So for me being, okay, well, I've got to get up and got to leave by this time, have the drink or have the coffee, be able to get to, the gym, whether I'm going in a local or I'm going further away. And yep, cool. I've got time for 3 or 4, language lessons. Boom. I've got enough time to do a little bit of news checking, just the brief overall headlines. Awesome. And then as soon as I step out of the car and go into the gym, cool. I'm like gym mode. Awesome. Then I can go and do my stuff. So I'd probably say from a sequencing of the day, that'd probably be my first quarter, because that's probably my first 4 or 5 hours of the day, essentially doing that. And then I would say that what I found myself being, don't do this, folks, don't do this, would be one. So for me, I found that making myself really loose with time. So this was, okay, I'll wake up at 4 and I'm going to get to I'm going to get to work at 8. And so I've got quite a bigger freedom for myself to go and do that. I just found myself, I took up a lot of time in just perusing randomly Instagram or talking to people just like an extended way, where at least for me, just sequencing it really sharply with, I guess, real intent in the morning just works out like supremely better. So, and that's probably what's allowed me now to do both my training and, half an hour to an hour of extra running every morning on top of what I'm already doing, without too much of a fluctuation. So that's been like, that's kind of be, at least for the first quarter of the day, that's what for me for me a mortal has been working, at least for today. And just for me, the main piece is what wouldn't work in the sequencing. It's the flexibility of time.
So the first quarter, do you actually imagine that as the first kind of 4 hours? So like assuming that
first 4
you're
hours.
Awake for 16 hours.
Let's say that.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Well, mine's not too dissimilar. I would say, like, basically for me, it's wake up and first exercise is kind of the way that I look at it. So wake up routine for me is small, and actually when I've tried speeding it up before, and I don't like that. I actually like quite a slow start to the morning. So I don't want to be rushed. So from the very get-go, if I'm setting an alarm, I'm already in a suboptimal day, to be honest. Do you wake up naturally, or do you have an alarm?
Because I'm kind of waking up before the sun, I generally tend to get up before my alarm in a week. Well, No, that's actually redundant. Because I was going to say my alarm's at 4:03, but I'm getting up at 4. But the sun's not even out anyways. Maybe there's like a little bit of light coming through. I would say that my alarm wakes me up 10% of the time. 10% of the time.
Yeah.
So normally if I set my alarm, my body will just roughly get me up probably 10 minutes beforehand in any case.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I don't like alarms. I've kind of learnt that over the years, and I'll bow down to them when I need to get up, in particular for something like that happens.
Yeah.
But
flight or whatever.
Yeah, it's I prefer to just wake up when I wake up, and when my routine is good, that's actually pretty dependable. I'll wake up roughly around a certain time. If I'm getting to bed at a certain time, I'll be
You'll
waking
get up
up
at the right time. Yep.
within a kind of hour time zone. 7 to 8, something like that. Lately, though, I've been noticing my getting to bed has been creeping later and later, and this is also affecting the time I'm waking up.
Sure.
Coming later and later. So no alarm, just general wake up stuff. So the more I can eliminate, the better. So I eliminated showers when I was traveling because just in the morning with showers was hard. It'd be cold. That's like the busy time, so everyone's using them, sort of thing like that.
It's cold, folks.
So
it's cold.
So better to just chuck some water on the face and maybe under the armpits and kind of, like slap yourself, brush your teeth. Because I only eat in the evenings, brushing my teeth then is kind of just a hygiene thing. I could maybe get away with it, but only brushing once a day, I'm also like, I'm unsure if my dentist would be happy
would
with
approve of that, yeah.
And then first exercise, and I've been actually thinking about this. So when I say first exercise, I'm pretty much talking about stretching. And I've only recently recognized that all like the friends I hang out with, they basically do hard like handstand work and stuff in the mornings, and then they will do kind of play around stretching more stuff in the afternoons.
Yep.
Whereas I do it opposite, like stretching in the mornings and
then the
like the
proper
hard,
workout later.
the proper workout later. And so I've actually been thinking about maybe I should try it the other way.
Oh damn! An early morning workout.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's called it out here. 4 a.m. workouts for Karen. Pre-sun rising.
I can only see mostly downsides to it and very few upsides. But maybe I'll try it. Maybe. But yeah, I've that's kind of me. Wake up and then first exercise. That's all I get. What
hasn't worked for you in those first quarter of the day that you've tried?
Using my phone. So using my phone for text-based things. If I'm listening to a podcast, that's fine. That's cool. That works well with me. I'm all right in ingesting information that early. But in terms of replying to things, looking at emails, looking at any social media, it's not good. Not good.
Yep.
So I really try not to do that. Really try not.
I've never had like a terrible, and so this probably goes back to the first quarter. I've never had a terrible time with managing, especially with getting incoming messages. I just won't, like I might look at them, but I won't reply, and definitely would leave them to later. But there's, I guess, like some critical contacts I've got on my phone, or say messages that might come through that I will attend to like right in the morning. Certainly, I think Tim was talking to a doctor, or a doctor was talking to another podcast, something like that, and they were talking about this whole principle of like, you shouldn't look at your mails or your emails or anything in the morning, because it disrupts your thing. And then this person was like, that's fantastic, very general advice, but if you're a doctor who's looking after patients and that, then shut up. That's a stupid advice to take. Don't take that advice. Like, obviously you need to be prioritizing some of this information. Is
it that obvious? Because I would also argue.
Well, let's just say if you're on call through the night and you've gone to bed, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to wake up and do my workout. However, you're on call.
Yeah, well, that's different.
Exactly. So like,
that's you're working then. That's not your normal day.
There's doctors out there who are 24 hours on call.
Yeah, well, that's
their problem. That's their problem that they've got.
Yeah,
that. I would say that's more of a.
I would say that's their problem, and that the advice was good, and that they're the ones who are fucked up.
Well, I would say that the generality of the advice is good. I like the general as an advice. You should reduce your inputs at that critical junction of time. If you have to be dependent on something else, cool. Well, you are, but that's the problem.
I disagree. No.
You reckon?
Yeah, fuck them. They they're so far in the wrong that they need to fix.
You would regret that.
No, because I would have set up things previously so that there's other ways to contact me. So when I went on my little meditation retreat, I gave other people's phone numbers. So I was like, if anything happens,
contact
that person.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
That's, my brother lives just over there if there's an emergency.
Yeah, well, okay, so I mean, it's a good call. So like, even, there's the kinds of people who are like, you can't do this. Like, well, I can't do that. Okay, so you're saying is put things in play so you can. Yeah, you can actually.
Exactly. Yeah, I would be so far down the end of it's a bad idea. If you think you need it, I would say you don't. And you haven't tried hard enough to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is what
I mean, look, I've seen in my part, like I've gone many a morning for my first quarter where I'd have my phone on in sleep mode, and sleep mode is nothing comes through, absolutely nothing. And I'll get to the end of a workout and then take it off and be like, okay, cool. Like nothing, the world didn't end. So, I mean, mere mortals out there, we are mere mortals. So, we're probably not that special that like the world's going to fall apart unless maybe you're in a position where you've put yourself into that and then, well, shame on you for getting to that position.
And don't confuse this with me saying everyone should do that. This is just if you think it's a good idea, if you think in general it's a good idea not to do this, but your case is a special one. I would say your case isn't. You're not that special. Come on, let's be real. If you just generally,
president?
Yeah, it's not that special.
What if you're in the midst of Cold War?
I'm not. I'm already saying that.
Yeah. So, folks, Karen would have let you all died during the nuclear bombings. He would have been like, nah, set the phone.
I would have saved your lives because
not replying.
Because I would have not reacted in a silly way. I would have let my brain wake up first and then be making big decisions.
If anyone's listening to this right now, I want to see some comments on YouTube or send through a Boostagram. Is Karen corrected that no matter what, you should be able to do it, no matter who you are?
If you think it's a problem and it's a bad thing, but your case is special. If you just enjoy looking at your phone early in the morning, go ahead.
Fair.
So it's only if you think it's a problem.
Is there any commentary in there to point out?
Nothing cool. Too much yet.
All right, we'll go into the second part of the day out of the 4. So this at least I call midday. Now for me, I'm moving from gym normally in the morning through to sort of work and into maybe the first meal of the day. That's sort of my trajectory. So, I mean, I just gave it a couple of things. One, generally leaving the eating till the second quarter of my day. That's kind of like when I'm starting to eat. So I'm not really eating anything apart from having a coffee in the morning. So you know what that means. I'm probably not eating for the first 4 hours of the day. So at least that's for me. I use this particular, what I found really from a sequencing a day, I'm using the initial walk or time before from like either gym or what I've done in the morning to work to contact key people. So I've actually been doing this now for maybe since I started this work now place, and I just really enjoy this. So I contact these people directly and just essentially have a conversation. I don't want to. I do enjoy messaging. You know, folks, I do enjoy messaging for sure. But these are some of the connections that I have that I want to have like long-term conversations, like long-form conversations. I don't want to be going back and forth messaging, especially when I'm walking. I actually hate messaging when I'm walking. So I'd rather just have it.
Texting, you mean?
Yeah, texting. Yeah. So I don't want to be texting on walking. Like I kind of just want to be looking around and looking up, really.
Okay.
So in that part, there's a lot of conversations, obviously a lot of walking. And for me, what's really worked from a sequencing of that day is, especially when I get into either, well, if it's a work day, cool. Now, if it's a weekend, for me, it still sort of falls in line with this, whether I've still trained in the morning and I've got things to get done. Now, for folks at home, that could be shopping, that could be whatever. I like to sequence things out in a bit of like that ultradian rhythm, 90-minute cycles or Pomodoro style techniques. So, for the most part, at the end of the second quarter of the day, I should be almost finish all of the things that I've planned that are critical to do in my day. So this is, if it's on an off day from work, then I've finished podcasts in the morning. I've finished off planning, buying things, prepping things. If I'm doing like extended language lessons, reading a book, if it's work purposes, then most of my meetings are absolutely crammed into that second quarter of the day. I've gotten all actions out. I've gotten all emails out. So what I get to by the end of the second quarter of the day, or like my halfway point of the day, there's almost just free room beyond that second quarter of the day to either take in more things, be proactive about whatever comes around, and at least that sequencing has worked good. What hasn't worked good for me, at least I've recognized, is putting things that are important or that have to get done into the third quarter of the day, so later part of the day. No good. I just way more, sharp right in the morning, especially when I've just had maybe my first bit of food, especially after gym, or sometimes I'm getting into things before I'm even eating as well, so I'm still feel quite like hungry / sharp at those points in time, so I can still get through quite a few things. That's when at least what it feels like multitasking, or it feels like getting a lot of things done, feels easy, feels really easy. I can very easily manage back-to-back meetings while responding to people, while doing different things, while catching up with whatever. Awesome. That all can happen in that second quarter of the day. And so I sequence things to be jetted there directly after that workouts. For me, that's worked well. So I've obviously mentioned that, moving things out of that hasn't worked well. What hasn't worked well either is I feel not eating in that second quarter of the day for me. So I have experimented with the longer fasting of till the third quarter of the day. Doesn't work as well. I don't enjoy it. So at least at some part, I will get to eating by that second quarter. Might not be at the beginning, might be towards the latter end. So, time-wise, that might mean, like, for folks home, if I wake up at 4, I might be eating at 10 a.m. at the earlier time, or I might be eating at midday, but I won't push it beyond the midday. For me, it just, especially with the training I'm doing, I'm hungrier, and it comes to a point that, okay, I've experienced the hunger part of the aspect, so cool, that's fine, mentally, but then just from a capacity to work and not be super tired, I'm just like, okay, that's when I want to eat some food. So for me, that's sort of what I've found. I'm being like, okay, yep, that's, if I don't sequence that in there, it's probably not going to be a fantastic day.
Okay.
So
There you go.
that's the second quarter. What about for you?
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to change it up. So
Okay.
as we were talking about this, I just realized mine's not in quarters, mine's in thirds. So
Okay, yep.
so
Do you want to do a second, third?
yeah, so I'll say like the first third was wake up, first exercise, and hard work. So that's when my brain's most fresh. So yeah, that's when I try and put all of the things which are important stuff that needs doing. That'll be done in that kind of 8 till 1-ish region. That's the best. The next 5 hours, so that would be like 1 till 6. That is just straight up either exercise, and that just takes up that whole time because I got to drive places, warm up, kind of 3 hours of handstands and stuff, kind of a little bit of a cool down, driving again, and shower. That's 5 hours, 6 hours there easy. Or if it's a non-exercise day, that'll probably be where it's kind of social time. If I had to pick an ideal day or sequence my day, that would be definitely the time where I would like to be social. So if it's a weekend, playing some sort of social soccer, if it's catching up with friends and whatnot, that is when I would actually want to do it. And now I have to fit in with other people, so that's doesn't always work out. But definitely that would definitely be the most social I feel is in that time. That's when I want to be social. So either straight up exercise or social, being social.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Or an event of some sort.
Yeah, fair.
Get to use the daylight.
I'll go into my third quarter, and then we'll probably break for going through some of the Boostagrams, because mine, what I termed afternoon of the third quarter. Now, again, that's my, 12 to 4 o'clock sort of session. And this is, I've eaten, and I've actually been here kind of similar to you. I actually, it's probably the time frame that I want to be doing my community, my engagement, if I'm going to sequence depending on the day. So it's either, again, work, I'm probably connecting with different people. This is where I'm just having random chats with people, catching up on the day, seeing what's going on. So from a networking perspective, connection perspective, whatever, all of that sort of happens around the time. Or if I sequence it to be that way, I really enjoy that. Same with doing retrospectives or, reviews, whatever. That's kind of like that aspect of it. When, if it's outside of the workplace, then for me, it's probably catching up with families, catching up with friends. I actually do prefer that, just slightly after lunch or having lunch with people and then slightly after that. So I do enjoy that sort of time frame as it's sort of winding down. That's what, at least for me, has proved to be successful, or the ones when I go back to my imminent human being call outs, that seems to be sort of the highest rated ones. My lowest rated ones normally are like if I'm just eating around the time, kind of frustrating. If I'm not putting enough energy into the connections, the social connections around that time. So, I might decide to go to the beach or go somewhere, but I'm not like connected in those conversations or in those the people where I'm doing. So like, I'm there, but I'm not really them. I'm thinking of other things. That's where it sort of doesn't work well. So I guess this is more of a time of kind of throw phone away. I've had the first quarter of the day where I've put in the hard work. Second quarter of the day when I'm like catching up, doing all the actions. Third quarter is okay. Put things down, be connecting with people more of on a one-to-one basis. So for me, that's sort of what it feels like. So I was saying I've been experimenting with runs during lunchtime and some afternoon sessions now a little bit more, and they're okay. They're okay. They're kind of okay. But what I have seen is that sequencing them in the third quarter ends up impacting my ability to go for the connections. And truth be told, I'm like, okay, I'd rather be doing those connections with people than be doing the training. So I think it's more of a call out for me.
So work's not too happy if you're just running around instead of actually doing some connecting with people. If you're
what do you mean?
Like your job work. So they're not too happy if you're like, I'll go for a run now, and it's like 3 to 6 p.m.
Well, one, I'm not running 3 to 6 p.m. But I guess what I'm saying is there's less enjoyment of running. So like, say if I was running 3 hours, there's less successfulness of running 3 to 6 p.m. than if I was to run 4 to 7 a.m. Like 4 to 7 a.m. Would feel like more of a positive way to put the 3 hour chunk than put it in 3 to 6. Even if I could do it, like say if it was a weekend, I would 1,000 times prefer to run for 3 hours, 4 to 7 a.m. than run at 3 to 6 p.m.
Yeah,
like
gotcha.
Every time, anytime sort of thing. So why I'd be saying because that third quarter I'd be wanting to be spending it. Like I almost don't want to be working out as hard at around that time. I can, and going back to like the data I've had, I do tend to be stronger at around that time just because you've got just more day into you sort of thing. But from a probably mental perspective, I've just enjoyed leaving that out in that space.
Yeah,
so still happens, folks, but not where I've seen it to be most successful. All right, we got a little pause here. Anything else want to call out on that chat? If not, I'm going to jump into Boostagrams.
So we've got some little bits and pieces of what Brody and Joey do. So Brody is get up, breakfast, fast forward, load up the end of the day. Nice. That's that's like the speed run version of sequencing your day. He also says, I'm with Juan, have to set a time. I need to be out of the house. Gets me going. And then Joey was saying, wake up, work, gym, straight after work. I really don't like night gym sessions, dinner, assignments, hang with Penelope, sport. Yeah, that's a funny one. He likes to do his sport real late in the evening. So he
likes to do his sport as in like him playing sports?
Yeah, so like when he goes to meetups and things like that.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything worse. Late
at night?
I think late at night would be worse than early in the morning. I don't... My general feeling is for me that would just suck. That would suck so much if I was exercising like 9 until 12 p.m. or 6 until 9 in the morning. I think I'd choose the 6 until 9 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have enjoyed, and Brody being there, I have enjoyed playing late night touch games. Like they're quite fun.
Yeah,
they are fun to play like quite late at night. Depends on the following day. Like if it really messes up with like the cadence of your things, whatever late means to you, you're like, if you're training until midnight, okay, well that's annoying if you have to get up at 4.
Yeah, I think I always got bad sleep after night games.
I definitely got bad sleep if I had to get up early, for sure.
Yeah, well, not even just getting up early. I think I just had bad sleep in general. If I've played a game in the evening,
if I've slept enough, it's totally fine. Like I mean, the latest I can remember of like our touch games going would be like 10 p.m. plus sort of thing, or you get to start sleeping at 11 or something, basically. But as long as I slept enough, it was kind of okay. It was enjoyable, definitely enjoyable.
Okay,
I would enjoy it.
Cool. Let's get on to the Boostagram Lounge then.
Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to go from
Should be going.
14th of November.
Yeah.
And we've got, so first one, you would have guessed it, Petar. He's sent 7,777 sats using Fountain. And he says, and the Oscar for best Hosky promotional video goes to Mere Mortal Karen.
I actually did steal that and wrote it on the video, I think.
Oscar. So yes, if you haven't checked out the promotional video, where can people actually go check that out?
So it's on the actual YouTube. If when I was talking about it, I put like a little link in the chapter art linkages for the audio only, and then also for the video, so it'll appear on the top right. So if you want to see it, go
check it out.
Jump into it
and see what Peter's talking about. And then we've got some that have come through on the today 1 in the morning, and one just as we're talking here right now. First one here saying McIntosh. Love to hear the differentiation between Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and calling other blockchain projects crypto assets. Ironically, Vitalik tweeted very recently about ETH on a 12 like.
I think that's
lighting.
L2.
On an L2, on an L2 like Lightning and BTC. I think Ethereum has only a small chance of becoming an actual functioning currency. He sent 1,111 sats sent using Fountain McIntosh.
Yeah, it seems to have too much going on. I don't see how it could be a currency if you've got so many different use cases for it. It seems like that would mess it up as a currency.
Absolutely.
As whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I would never really look at Ethereum as a currency, to be honest.
Yeah. For
honestly,
sure.
I don't really see any of them as currency. Like
I do sats because I use it.
Sure,
often
like
enough.
more sats. But I just I like what's his name, the owner of the Mavericks. Whatever.
I don't know.
I'll remember if it comes to it.
That is.
Hey,
I don't even know what sport that is.
It's US, but if it comes to me, there is a particular little line about Ethereum which I found interesting. But thank you, McIntosh, for that. Cool. Boostagram there.
Generational Wealth with Cryptocurrency is his podcast. Check
Beautiful. And the one that just come through live as we're doing the podcast. Proud mum of Liam F. My routine is waking my 29-year-old beautiful Schnoogum son, William F, up with a kiss on his forehead, preparing and packing his lunch and taking him to work. God, I'm so proud. Peace out, mere mortal lights. Nice. No, it's 112 sats sent using Fountain. So proud mum of Liam F. She is very proud of Liam F.
Very proud.
So thank you very much for the Boostagrams, folks, for the last week.
Yes, much appreciated, everyone. There's a Value for Value podcast. We only survive and exist through your support of the show. Many ways you can do that. You can share it with someone. You can send in a funny Boostagram like proud mum of Liam F. Has done here, or maybe some more serious ones like Peter and McIntosh. And you can also give us some, a talent of yours. So if you know that we're saying something silly, if you know what the name of the Mavericks is, and you can send it in to us and we can correct it. If you know what sport it is, you just said US sport. Which sport is it?
Mark Cuban, that's what it was. Mark Cuban.
I've been thinking after all this FBF stuff, I'm wondering if there is benefits to shit talking people, so that you can kind of go back in the past and say, look, I did shit talk about this person. So yeah, I would definitely put Mark Cuban in my list of people to not take great advice
seriously.
Well, take him seriously, but I wouldn't implement his advice or follow him as a good role model.
Gotcha. Because
just he seems to have a habit of is shilling the right word? Like that Tron iron titanium token thing. We talked about it once, and that was actually a video.
Was he shilling that though? Or was he just just funding it? He was funding it. Wasn't so much shilling
in that
it.
case, it was like, well, it just because he's touching it doesn't mean it's going to go well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Actually, speaking of that, I saw Voorhees, the man Voorhees. He was being claimed as shilling on Twitter. Yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah.
What for Thor? Thor's the thing he talks about.
Maybe it was.
It'd be for Thor. And
so what about the shiller himself, Voorhees? Would you say he's a bit of a shit talker?
No.
Damn. No, he's got his favorites current down, folks.
Yeah,
he's got his favorites.
Sure. The other thing with with Cuban was I saw how he like entered into podcasting and kind of was like, oh, we've got this new app, Fireside is going to be like, it was kind of like his version of what was that talking one that everyone loved for a while?
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Where it was audio and
Room or whatever it's called.
it wasn't called Room, but
no, like
the invite only sort of thing. Yeah. Man, so
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, that's the one. So it was like a podcasting version of that.
Yep.
It came in, did was keynote speaker at the biggest podcasting event. I think it was Podcast Movement, and it was just a shit show. It was just
didn't work out.
Yeah, it was just. Maybe he doesn't have enough humility. Maybe
he definitely doesn't seem super like humble, I guess. Yeah. Or the humility's not like fully there.
Same with Justin Sun. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan.
Not a big fan. No. But I do know that.
I don't think we'll be the type of people to be calling out, SBF ahead of time, saying like this is gonna fail. This is all gonna.
Oh
I don't see us ever doing that. So.
No, absolutely not. But by the way, folks, we're calling out Mark Cuban here, and just as a heads up, he was like the original founder of broadcasting online. So of broadcasting, like broadcasting, like radio online. He's the one who popularized broadcasting.com. So before him, there was the way to listen to it was through radio, and he was one of the first ones to put basically radio online through broadcast.com.
Okay, like on the internet.
Yeah. So like,
okay.
Yeah. So there is a reason why he was going down the path. Obviously, it failed with his latest venture, but yeah, he has like quite a good knowledge into, I would say, broadcasting or media in general, probably from way back. So. Here's Karen calling Mark Cuban. So Mark Cuban, if you'd like to respond to...
We're talking about him, so he's obviously, that can be constituted as a win in his book, I suppose, and for many other people, attention, like the very attention is the win. So.
Is the win, exactly. Okay, let's get back to the podcast now. So again, we're talking about some just sequencing on our days and things that we found successful and not successful. We're going towards the latter part. So I've got my final quarter and you've got your last third. What are you?
I'll do my last third. Yeah, so this is... easy work and a small bit of play.
Easy work and a bit small play. Okay.
And eat. So it's kind of, this would be my etc. category, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it. Like 1/3 of my entire waking life is
etc.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely like by this time brain is not functioning. Mm-hmm. It's maybe at 40% to be honest.
Yep.
To be fair, Musings is. I struggle. Yeah, I sometimes think like, man, this probably shouldn't be the serious one because because it's the end of the day but like this is the only time we can really get together, with normal work schedules and things like that. But I'm definitely like the deepest I've been able to think on the podcast has been either with guests when I've had them on early morning our time. So when I say early morning, I mean 10 a.m. Yep. And
second quarter for me.
Yeah. With meanderings for you, which is typically around that time, 10 or 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's in terms of it's just like I can get some work done, but it's got to be busybody work. It's got to be pressing numbers, creating things. After this, I'll create the like the chapters and things like that. That's all just kind of cut and paste type work. It's not. Let's think about
not complex, not deeply thinking about things.
The moral implications of, I don't know, psychedelics.
I mean, like we're saying this, we're also live on YouTube, so it probably doesn't bode very well as well for the fact that, if you really are asking us probably complex questions on YouTube or wanting to expand on things, it might be like, well,
not the best time,
it's only going to go so deep, these conversations, folks.
For sure. And a little bit of play. So this is where I would put in my mindless scrolling if I'm going to do any, which has creeped back in from a time when there didn't used to be some.
Yep.
But I kind of go in waves. I'll sometimes do it, and then sometimes I'll be like, no.
Do you find yourself, is your mindless scrolling
Twitter.
Focused on, Twitter?
It's
okay,
Twitter.
I was going to say, is there any handstand that comes in, whether it's through like Instagram or videos or anything like that?
No,
you find yourself like endlessly scrolling?
Not particularly, and I just don't think there's an access for it. There's kind of on Instagram, but it's not that
really
much. Yeah, I don't.
What hasn't worked at that last third of your day that you've tried to do before from a sequence or putting things in that you're like, nah, I won't do this?
Yeah, definitely trying to do some language learning or something like that.
Yeah.
Bad idea. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Like here's a clear demonstration. You'll see it on mine. I usually leave it. So, with Duolingo, if you do it at some time in the morning before noon, you'll get like 15-minute bonus for the end of the day for double points. So that's how it works on the phone.
Gotcha.
Now, so I'll tend to do it. So it's after 6 p.m. That's when you can claim it. Now, I don't know, Duolingo, why you do this. Because when I get to do it, like usually myself and my partner will do it maybe like we'll do like 5 minutes before bed or like half hour before bed. And honestly, my level of errors in comparison to do it in the morning is like superb. So with the phone, you've only got 5 hearts in the mornings. I can do 4 or 5 classes pretty easily without probably losing a heart, like getting them bang on. I'm really thinking it through. At nighttime, my brain's so fried. I'll easily almost won't even get through like one lesson just because I'll just fail all of them and be like, just not thinking through it correctly. So, totally agree with the language.
I would say I have probably tried all of the things that I've done beforehand that I've talked about, hard work, exercise, etc., in different portions of the day, and this is kind of the optimal one that I've come up with, and I'm just trying to think, like, has it changed? We'll save that after you've done your 4th one. Will this change in the future? Sort of type questions. So,
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, give me your 4th.
Okay. Well, my final one, quarter. So key things here of sequences that have helped out. Here it's we're talking 4 to 8 p.m. is roughly like the final hours. Although honestly, I'm sleeping like 6 hours.
I should have said my last one was kind of like 6 until midnight
sort of thing.
/ 1 a.m.
Yeah. And for me, my final quarter is probably like 4 till 8 to 10 p.m. realistically, to be honest.
Yep.
So for me, it's again big amount of food. This is what I'm like eating like a majority of my food as well. So yeah, I've eaten quite a bit through the early part, but I'll be eating a giant portion of it through here, so that I've got enough basically for my training in the morning. There's roughly like halfway through the second, so through that quarter. I put my phone on sleep mode, basically. So I've started to really do that and really enjoy that sequence of maybe like 2 hours out from actually sleeping, just goes into sleep mode. There's no more conversations with anybody at that point. It's just, unless I'm specifically responding to people I want at that point for whatever reason that I'm trying to organize.
Yeah.
Supplements. So there's normally when I'm actually getting like my multivitamins.
Jacked.
Yeah, jacked. Now, if I'm getting like multivitamins, zinc, magnesium, that sort of stuff, I'm not normally having it at nighttime. I just find it easier, especially with food in my stomach. This is where I will chill out and watch Netflix videos, scrolling. That's where I'll sort of be surrounding this. One thing that I've found, picked up this trick from somebody, that to not do this in bed, to try to really stop yourself from doing it in bed, was like, okay, cool. Use your phone if you want to, but you have to stand up.
Okay.
Not lay down, not sit down.
Gotcha.
So I've actually found this quite good, of like charging my phone, put it on charge basically. And if I want to use it, if it's not for language learning, I'll get it, but I'll have to stand up. So I have been liking this, because sometimes I will, but then I'll just find myself like, okay, I don't want to scroll anymore because I'm standing up. Cool, I'll just put it down. Yeah, just lay down.
That's actually one of my daily / now it's become weekly, checklist ones. There's no phone in the bedroom.
No phone in the bedroom. Yeah. Nice. Do you keep it outside of the bedroom, or do you still keep it in there?
No, the phone can be no using of the phone.
No using of the phone. Cool.
Yeah. Unless it's for taking notes for a book review or something. So
sure.
So when I'm reading a book, I've got it down here all the time, where it's like page whatever, this sort of thing. That's okay. Or if I'm translating a word from a Spanish book.
Gotcha.
So no bullshit phone use in the in the bedroom.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
What it should be.
What things haven't worked well for me, to be honest, has been really, really heavy workouts where I'm ingesting like a pre-workout. That does not sequence everything. Like, it doesn't work well for me in the schedule of waking up early, so I just tend to not sleep very well.
Wait, so you're talking about just the final portion here, or overall?
No, this is the final portion of the day. So my final quarter, what I haven't found that worked well was, like a late night workout. I can do them and they feel kind of fine, but I'm just too amped up to sleep well, and then it just destroys like the rest of the day of the following day. So don't enjoy doing really late sessions. Although I did do a 10K
What have you done?
a couple of days ago at nighttime. It was like up to 6:30 p.m. In 50 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah.
So
well, I did a marathon in the first, second, and third portion. It overlapped all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I started at midday and then finished at like
God,
7 or 8 p.m.
To be honest, like that for me has been one thing. The other one has been the food. I've also done things where I'll sequence it where I'll eat earlier, and so in the last quarter I won't eat as much. Nah, no good. I like to go to bed quite full, like not being hungry. I want to make sure that I'm like not thirsty, none of that. Especially that really messes up. Like, folks, can you do it as a challenge? Sure, absolutely, certainly. But for me, from an optimal perspective, to be successful, I want to be not worried about that mentally. It's just like, cool, go straight to bed.
Yeah. When you go to bed, you are the water bed.
Exactly. You want to just be like, like just almost like drowsing yourself to sleep. I love that. I mean, besides that, I haven't really done anything in my fourth quarter of the day or like last part of the day that I'm like, oh, that's egregious to my sleep. I mean, the only thing would be, what's going to be successful to the routine, not go hard drinking or going out and stuff like that.
Correct.
But it still happens. Yeah. It very much still happens. Although there has been some, some peaks of maturity coming through with wine. The last get together, I made the right call of drinking a couple of times.
Very strange.
Back home. Now, it did probably coincide with me having a torn pec at the couple of days before that.
Yeah.
So maybe some of that. But I've recognized that if I'm going to have a good routine from a day-to-day, not just one day, it's probably not going to be a very valuable thing to be getting smashed in those last quarter.
Correct.
So I get smashed in the first quarter. So that's how it probably works out better. So anyways, those are the days we just sort of talk through. Now, what was the overall one you wanted to look at?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. So we have to do our section of do not do this. We've baited them long enough to if they're watching via YouTube and seeing the thumbnail. So biggest mistakes I think and I'm broadening this to everyone, but applies to me. So number one, trying to fight your own body. So I think sleeping patterns can be altered, but in a minor way. So this is actually, funnily enough, a call for you to do the not normal. So in this case, if you're a night owl, don't try and force your body into the 9 to 5 routine. I think you should be working on a profession which will allow you to live your best life. If we're gonna put it in terms like that, I think it's terrible. Like it makes sense. There's a system, and you have to kind of bow down to the system a little bit.
Yep.
But if you can find a way to make a living by, and there's plenty of options out there for people to do night work. I would say definitely do that. So don't try and fight your own body to create a sequence, like sequencing of a day that'll fit what your government wants or what your parent want, what your parents want, what your partner wants. I would definitely say it's better to try and avoid that.
Yeah, well, I was actually just quickly having this go because I'm sure I've heard it in a podcast of some of the ones I've been listening to generally, but now might not be 100%, but it's very much like a predominant biological reason whether you're an early riser or like a night owl. So there's that actual genes within you. So I'm not talking like
so it's not a mental thing.
Yeah, it's not like you're like learning to do this. So you can shift it for sure, but you're going to have predominant means as to what you should be as a morning person or non-morning person. That's almost like biologically determined in some ways.
Yep.
And you can slightly deviate that a little bit. So I'd agree with that. Yep. That's like, do not try, it would be stupid for me now at this point to be like, oh, I'm going to become a night person. Like I'm going to wake up at 10 in the morning and I'm going to just do all my days till, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And that's, not even close.
Or me to be a 3 a.m., 4 a.m. warrior.
It just
wouldn't
work out.
Agreed. General rule of thumb, I think I've just learnt from everything that I've heard is that deep work should be done at the start of your day. So if your day starts at kind of 4 p.m. like it used to for my brothers, I think your deep work should be done in that first kind of 4 to 6 hours. And by deep work, I mean the most mentally taxing work it should be done then. Have you heard elsewhere where
they have talked about that? There was like some studies saying that if you're like an early morning person, that can apply. If you're it wasn't like a late starter, it was like a mid starter, then they say actually no, you should wait until after lunch. But I don't know, that seems too detailed. I'd probably say in generality, I'd say the initial period of your day, you can get yourself in the most sharper focus. I feel like that rings pretty true.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of those would be there'd be a lot of complications with food as well. Food
perhaps. But to be honest, I mean, for me, I'd say what not to do is don't position the deep thinking work to like a quarter.
Just before bed.
Well, to a quarter or a third where you're going to have the propensity to be spent. I won't say before bed because for sure there's going to be some, like Tim Ferriss. Yeah. He seems to do his best work, as he says, like between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. or something like that. Okay. So you could be like, for sure, I would actually shift and say your area where deep work happens or where like that really hard work happens might be somewhere in this, in 24 hours. Fine, find it, whatever the hell that works in your routine. I just say, don't put it in the third or the quarter of your schedule where you feel like you're just feeling like crap. So, there's no way, shape or form that I'd probably ask your brother to do really deep work at 7 a.m. Probably not going to be for the best.
Yeah.
But for him, maybe like a midday, at least a little bit into his routine. Fantastic. Seems to be working well. Similarly, don't be asking me at the late part of my fourth quarter to be like, okay, one, here's where we're going to solve a mathematical problem. Or whatever. Like I'll be like, I'm tuning out, not doing this. So
for sure.
Just recognizing that don't be putting things in where they don't belong, especially with deep thinking work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Number 3, I think you need to have a bit of courage to stick to what is optimal to you. So when I've experimented with this over the years, which was when I started doing weird stuff, I was like, oh, this kind of makes me unique, makes me interesting. I'm going to tell people about this. And I'd bring it up early in conversations and, in a way where it wasn't obvious, where I was just being like, look at me, whatever. Even though that kind of seeks in anyway. So you gotta, it's not, you're never ever going to be able to casually, when you got that mindset, I don't think it's going to casually, you'll be able to be super, super casual. You can be like 80% casual. But like I would bring it up with people about like eating just once a day in the evening. And I think the reaction tended to be like, oh, that's actually weird. Even when I kind of took it as a positive thing, I think people would be like, that's a bit weird, man. Like why would you be doing that? And I think you need to have, a little bit of courage to stick. Like if you've found a really good sequence for your day and it's, completely tuning off the world and not speaking to anyone at, peak work hour in the middle of of your day, and you have a job which maybe allows you to like do that work after work or something. You have to have a look. I think like a little bit of anti-social streak to kind of defy society and to do
whatever works best for you or like what's most optimal, successful for you.
I think a little bit of courage is needed in that respect.
I'd say less courage because courage sounds dumb. Because you could be doing dumb things. Like let's just say you were, I don't know, not eating once a day, but you were eating once every fortnight. Yeah. Now you could say, hey, that's courageous. I'd be like, no, it's stupid. Like that's actually genuinely stupid.
When I talk about courageous, I mean courageous in the defying of societal expectations. Whether it is dumb or not is kind of besides the point. It's the...
Nah, I don't think so. I disagree. I'd say that if you're doing it purely out of courage, but it's stupid, then it's still stupidity, even though it's courageous. But I guess what I was going to say, I agree with the point though.
But who gets to decide it's stupid?
Well, I wouldn't say it's courage so much as it's conviction. I think if you've got a strong conviction to what you're doing, then the courage doesn't matter. It's not about courage. It's not even about whether you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter about the deciding on stupid. No, you've got a strong conviction of the fact that you're doing. So, some people out there, I'm sure, could be like, hey, Karen, what you're doing is suboptimal here's your list of reasons. And you could be like, fantastic, but here's my conviction. I'm very, very much like sure that this is for me because of whatever, and this is like the super important. Now, you don't have to have any courage to do that. It's like it's not courageous. It's just there's conviction behind that reason. It's like, I mean, and the reason I say that is because I was going to mention Ryan Holiday, because Ryan Holiday's sort of go-to, or the way that he lived. I know that after working at American Apparel and seeing it all like collapse and whatever, he lives now like in a big old ranch and looks after his farm animals and does, his writing, in whatever time it comes to him. I don't know his exact details, but it's not like he's courageous because he's doing that, because he's got plenty of money. So it's not real courage. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But he's got very strong conviction that for him to write his best work, he needs to be away from, the big city life. He needs to be away from being easily contactable and stuff like that. So he's got, what you were saying with your once a day eating, having strong conviction. So I guess the opposite, as we're saying here, for what not to do. Don't be limp. Don't be limp with your decisions of what you're doing. Don't let it be, tossed around in the sea by different people to be like, oh, well, everyone's working out of this F45 thing at 9 a.m, so I must go at 9. Nah, shut up. Go and do the things when it actually suits you, makes the best sense. Again, if you're listening to Karen and, you're saying eat once a day, and you're at home and you're like, man, I'm feeble, I'm dying here, I can't do this. Well, one, I probably wouldn't suggest you just go do this straight away.
Yeah, no, that's not
I won't
a good
do
idea.
that. But, it might not be the best for you. Cool. Again, don't be limp about it. Don't just be following what people say. I think you have to find your own conviction. So not, because you can be courageous as well. I'm like, not so much. I think you got to find your own conviction. What do you have high conviction about yourself that you can be like, cool, that's my schedule, and this is the reasons why, and that's why I do it.
Yeah, sure. I don't have a strong attachment to the word courageous, so it sounds like we're agreed on the principle. So, yep, sounds good.
Good.
Conviction.
Good.
The last one I had was sleep less than 8 hours and definitely less than 6 hours consistently is robbing you of your health. I have not seen a single thing that leads me to believe that this can be done by anyone elsewhere.
What if the immortalized out there are like, but Karen, what about Arnold Schwarzenegger? He says he sleeps 6 hours a day.
Just imagine how big he could have been if he'd gotten some adequate sleep. He could have been fucking huge. Instead, he was this pissant, weak-ass Schwarzenegger who barely could even win 8 titles.
You've got to put a little cover here of you versus Arnold's comparison. I'd say yeah, that's good. I think we didn't talk about it obviously with the sleeping, but we kind of danced around the fact that we're doing it through our daytime. But yeah, I would say don't as part of your schedule. Don't sacrifice the daily, the being conscious around the world for less of your recovery and sleep, mate. That's a bad trade-off. That's a very, very bad trade-off. Just because you can for a short time doesn't mean you can for a long time, and then it won't mess up something down the path for sure.
Yeah. There's one I feel strongly on. Don't get less than 6 hours consistently. Yeah, for sure. I did want to ask you about this kind of what I was hinting at before was if it feels like death, should you do it? Or I guess what if the science says that you shouldn't do it? How much weight do you place on these types of things versus your own experience? Is it would you say that your current routine is 50% based on the science and 50% based on what you know about yourself, or 100 0 the other way, or 0 100? What sort of ratio do you think you're at, and perhaps what would be a good idea for people in general to be roughly straddling that line, or where should that line sit, do you think?
Yeah, I reckon mine falls more scientific, or at least more backed in some numbers, reasons, and that's probably a large part because I do read to a load of stuff like this. So, when it comes to...
Yeah, you're all about your health.
Andrew Huberman stuff about see the morning sun, see the setting sun for sleep, Pomodoro, ultradian rhythm in the mornings, getting your morning with coffee with MCT oil, doing your training in the morning, autophagy, or I don't even know how you say it, autophagy with the fasting. Yeah. Right, probably 70-80% is probably science-based. I'd say 20% is more how I'm feeling. So, with the connections with people, I don't have to do it at those morning times. Obviously, connections is a good thing to be doing scientifically, but for me, it just seems to be work really well while I'm walking. Is there probably any scientific backing behind that? Maybe in a general sense, but that's much more of a me. That's how it feels. That's good to do. I enjoy doing that. So there's probably that. I think people should be more than 50% scientific in the way that they schedule their day. I think that if you do it all by feels, you might be blinded by the humanness that you are to the reality of what you're not seeing. So, it might feel good to not brush your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It might be like, what? I don't need to brush my teeth. It kind of feels fine. I can just kind of like rub it with my finger and it's kind of cool. No, wrong. You're probably going to get wrecked by that in some way, shape, or form. Same thing goes with, something else like showering, something that you might not think about that's, you're like, I can skip it. I don't have to do this. Well, there's reasons as to probably why you should do this in some forms, either socially, either personally, and personally means, for yourself, how you think about yourself, perhaps from a health perspective. So I think that probably applying more than 50% scientifically would be a good bet for folks, I would say, from a schedule perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about you?
I think young Kyron would have been a lot more than the scientific. Mm-hmm. So this is me, in the last 10 years. And then if I have to predict what my next 10 years will be like,
yep.
I think it'll be getting even close to the point of, let's just say 85% feels and 15% science. Mm-hmm. I'm noticing I'm becoming a lot more strident, convicted, you could maybe even say, with certain things.
Okay.
And it's definitely, I think, like, it's getting to the stage where I feel like I've amassed enough knowledge about myself where it's like, okay, I do have this conviction to now be like, I don't want to eat breakfast. I don't think I ever want to eat breakfast again. Like, it doesn't work for me. And I've tried it enough times to realize, okay, this isn't going to work for me.
Yep.
Still allowing some experimentation in the future, and that sort of stuff. You don't even really have to plan it. It's just going to happen. There'll be times when you have to eat a breakfast because whatever. So I'm definitely, I'm definitely saying I'm getting more towards the feels sort of section. And I think that will only increase for myself as well. And getting to the point where it's like, the science says this, but my body says
this otherwise.
Elsewise.
All right. Well, my final question to you is, when will you realize that your schedule will be broken? Like, when do you think that you'll realize, actually, I cannot do the schedule anymore?
In terms of like a long-term thing, as in, okay. Because I was going to say, generally I know the night before if my schedule is fucked up.
Oh, for sure. Day. Yeah. No, I'm not talking the micro of like, shit, tomorrow's gone. Like, this gone. Which, and look, I think most folks will understand that. But if you were to predict looking forward, what's going to be the impetus, the decade, the section, the shift in life that you foresee that will break your routine or break your schedule? And for me, it's pretty clear. It was like, 1, family, or 2, a change in, I'd say, like, job or joy pursuit of some kind. So the things that would break my current routine would be family, or if in some way, shape, or form my profession or the things that I found joy in, the way that I work or interact with the world, shifts to being like late, or shifts to travel, or shifts something else like that. That sort of thing would break my schedule, or it would make me realize, okay, that schedule needs to be broken up for me to be able to pursue that or to change it up.
Yeah. I guess for me it would be maybe the best way to say it would be something like a higher calling or a higher purpose is now motivating me. So if I suddenly decided or had an experience which made me go, it's really important that Africa does better, and I really need to be doing everything I can to make Africa a better place for the world.
Yep.
Then that sort of thing, I think, would necessitate changes and necessitate changes, and so that kind of thing would throw out of whack a lot of the principles that I kind of have now. And I've certainly allowed this for certain things. So I don't talk about it often, but I give platelets once every 2 weeks when my iron's not low and I've been kicked off the program. So I just passed 25 donations, I think, so up to like 27 now. And I had to change around my routine for that a fair bit. And it was like, okay, well, I can't do 7 days a week of exercise. Like it's kind of bad for you if you're. They highly recommend not working out before. I still kind of do, but definitely not afterwards as well. Yeah. They're like, do not do heavy lifting. Don't do strenuous exercise afterward. And I've somewhat changed my routine around a lot. And this was
to do that,
kind of a result of that giving back, which was part of my yearly goals in 2021, I believe. I believe that was right. When it was. And so that's the sort of thing where it's like, okay, I'll allow that to change up my routine. Now, thankfully, that's just a once a fortnight thing, so it's not like it's an everyday type deal.
But you can imagine what things might come up that might break that schedule.
And so things could be, like you said, family, creating a family, loved ones struggling, needing more of me than they currently do. I guess like more FaceTime or more resources or something like that. One of the biggest downsides in life is when people get too convicted and they
too much conviction.
Well, I'm never going to do this again.
Well, and
like
exactly.
I say, every time we say never, we end up doing it. Juan's never going to run. I'm never going to whatever the hell, listen to all the podcasts and you'll see like 8 different things that I've said I'll never do, and
then you'll end up doing it. Yeah. And I think it's we just say, to finish off on it from a schedule perspective. When I also thought about it, I was like, oh yeah. What's a really successful schedule now, and you've obviously heard us talk about our schedules today, but it's really clear to see that your schedule will change. So what we find optimal now is probably going to be optimal for a period of time, and that will change, and that is okay. But it almost makes it almost sweeter to have the schedule now, to kind of be like, oh yeah, I really enjoy this sort of dialed in version. Awesome, like I'm going to really enjoy it in the knowledge that things end. And as Lex Friedman says, that's, and I'm taking it very broadly here, but that's not a bug, that's a feature that things end, which makes it almost sweeter to almost feel and like interact with it. So
yeah, definitely.
There you go, folks. Is there any other messages in the chat there?
No, I think Joe was just saying, it sucks because that's the only time social sport is on right in the evening. So it sounds like he's not even that happy about it. I was also, and just to finish off on like a look back in the past. So when I was 21 to 24 or 25-ish, was when I was working out in the mines. God damn, was that fucking up my schedule. I was working out from 9 and, like 8 until 10 in the evening on a full stomach, which I absolutely hate.
I hate that.
I was...
God, I would have hated that.
Like the deep work I was doing was kind of from 1 until 6, so after the kind of optimal zone, because the mornings was usually meetings and going out into the pit. So it was like
it's the completely
holy shit, was I being set up for failure with the work that I had, and I got paid fucking good for it as well. It's weird. Imagine how productive I could have been if it
there's some. It makes me think sometimes there's some people who work night shift or who work shift sort of work, get paid fantastic money, but is it worth the broken schedule that you have? Maybe some people might be like, okay, well I'll be able to do that for X amount of time to be able to do this and move on. Yeah. Maybe that's the right thing. Others might go like, nah, you can't get back that time sort of thing. Was it ever worth it type of deal?
Yeah.
So balance that up.
For sure.
All right, folks, we'll leave it at that. Mere Mortalites. Again, we recommend for you, if you enjoyed listening to the podcast, if you want to share
your day, to send us a Boostagram in the morning when your deep work is done.
I'll point you to Dave Jones, who seems to have sequenced things quite well. Now, I didn't see this come through, but perhaps it is coming. He sent through a weekly Chrome boost to the Mere Mortalite Nation, so perhaps you can schedule that in, folks. You can schedule in, you can see if you can, well, look, that's going to be a big ask for you to actually go and schedule in a weekly recurring Boostagram.
Yeah, that would require effort.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you
don't
want
know
to
an
put
easy
that
way of
effort,
doing that.
look, you can. However, look, I'd probably say schedule it in to at least learn about Satoshis, about the Lightning Network, about Boostagrams, about podcasting 2.0. Why? Again, we talked about it. We depend on your Boostagrams, your streaming, to make sure that the value that we provide to you keeps on coming through your screens, whether you're watching right now live or listening in a deferred audio podcast. So make sure you do go check it out. As you saw in the Boostagram Lounge, those are some of the ways that people will be supporting us. So if you want to see your name pop up, like Liam F, perhaps, or Liam M's mum,
Liam F's mum.
then make sure you get on
Proud mum of Liam F.
Proud mum. For now, folks, we're going to leave it there for Musings. I hope you have enjoyed. One out.
Karen out. Bye.
Good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Let me turn that off there. Bing, bong, bing. Said the chat disconnected, but it looks like it came back, so that is a goodos.
Love when it does that.
Oh, there was something I was going to bring up, but
I've got a couple of things, but I'm going to leave them to meanderings.
Could you send me all your notes, please?
Yes, I can.
Whilst I've got you here. I'll screenshot mine. Some here as well. Everyone, like I continually say, I'll be in the Discord for the next half hour if you feel like having a little chatsy. But other than that, I'm going to end the stream. Peace.